Within a year, Confucian influence begins to dominate.
Confucian philosophy, I think, stressed that the empire should be self-sufficient, that trade was really unnecessary. You didn't want foreigners interfering in your country. The son should not go abroad because he couldn't attend to the filial obligations of his ancestors. Trade was base and demeaning and not well respected by the Confucians.
The treasure fleet has made 6 legendary voyages, forged diplomatic relations with dozens of rulers and kings, made an encyclopedic study across 10,000 miles of ocean in 67 overseas states. We've seen all the major countries and places where the treasure fleets traveled. But there is one final location: Africa.
We're arriving in Lamu, the biggest Arab dhow left in the Indian Ocean, just as Zheng He would have seen it from the deck of a 400-foot treasure ship. And it just looks beautiful.
We're here to solve one of the greatest mysteries of the treasure fleet. Legend has it a shipwreck left a number of Zheng He's sailors on an island off Africa's Swahili coast. After marrying local women, they created a community of their own, known today as the Washanga part of the Famau clan. Perhaps Zheng He's crew settled on this coast more than 80 years before Vasco da Gama. But can we find evidence that the legend is real?
I'm heading to Pate Island with Badi, who promises he can introduce me to a surviving member of the Famau. So, how long have you known Mrs. Baraka?
For quite some time, actually.
Does she really look Chinese, Badi?
Oh, yes.
Really? I'm really looking forward to meeting her and taking her picture.
You'll see her, definitely.
It's definitely worth the wait. Locals say there are fewer than 100 Famau scattered on different islands.
Mike. No, Mike, Baraka.
Mrs. Baraka, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So, Badi, if you could ask Mrs. Baraka a few questions. Could I ask her how long has she lived here in the village?
Umeishi katika kijiji kwa miaka mingapi? Kwa muda gani? She had been here since she was born.
What must have that been like at age 20 to be told that your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or whatever was Chinese?
Nakwambia huyu bana, ulijuaje kihakika katika umri ule wa miaka 20 kwamba wewe ni Mchina? Ulipata kutoka kwa nani haswa?
Mbali na sanjini wakana hama Machina. Kwamba ili kabila yetu hao Machina na wale jamaa zetu wote wakawa huambiwa kwamba sampuli ya Machina. Balemba kwamba chosiana nao.
Among the older generation, like the grandfathers, the great-grandmothers and great-grands, all knew that their ancestry really belonged to that Chinese shipwrecked people. And that was handed over from one generation to the other until it reached her.
She shows me a piece of pottery she thinks was brought here on the treasure fleets. Was that the only piece? Can I see? Well, I'm no expert. Looks like the real thing to me.
It looks like.
The nearby Famao graveyard looks very familiar. These Chinese-style graves even have Ming pottery for decoration. It's hard to tell from her face alone that Mrs. Baraka's origins are Chinese, but her story certainly seems convincing. For generations, the Famao have also passed down an unusual tale.
Africa was, of course, Zheng He's El Dorado. It's a great mystery as to how these very remote people who speak no English, who of course read no Chinese, they had such amazingly specific details that the emissary from the Emperor of China had come to Malindi and that the King of Malindi had given them 2 giraffes. One of the giraffes had died on the way back to China. Were they truly descended from shipwrecked Chinese sailors? How did they acquire this knowledge?